completely surrounded by one other country, the others being San Marino and Vatican City in Italy. But unlike them, Lesotho is not a microstate. It boasts a proud population, a strong cultural identity, and a landscape marked by rugged mountains, deep valleys, and fast-flowing rivers. What also makes Lesotho stand out in Africa is its climate. While much of the continent is known for its warmth, Lesotho regularly experiences snowfall, especially in its highland regions. In fact, it is home to Afriski, Africa's only ski resort south of the equator, drawing tourists who seek winter sports in an unlikely location. But Lesotho's uniqueness goes beyond geography and weather. The Basotho people are known for their iconic wool blankets, worn with pride across the country. These are not just for warmth, they are deeply symbolic, representing milestones, rites of passage, royalty, and social status. No traditional ceremony is complete without the presence of these beautifully patterned and color-coded blankets. The traditional Basotho hat, or mokorotlo, is another national symbol, so important that it appears on the country's license plates and currency. Lesotho also harnesses the power of its water. Its Lesotho Highlands Water Project exports fresh mountain water to South Africa while generating electricity for domestic use. Water, often called white gold, is one of the country's most valuable resources. In many ways, Lesotho defies expectations. It is a country of heights, both literal and cultural. In a continent known for deserts and plains, Lesotho offers snow and slopes. In a region often shaped by lowland agriculture, Lesotho rises up proud, elevated, and unshaken. Lesotho is not just unique to Africa, it is unique to the world. This is the uniqueness of Africa, and today we spotlight Lesotho, the kingdom in the sky. I'm Moyosore Adebi for SOUQ News TV.
Fellow Nigerians, did you know that constituency and executive projects in your communities are not gifts from your legislators? They are projects sponsored by the legislators and funded by the federal government to improve your life and the lives of those around you. These projects belong to you. Without your vigilance, they might never be completed. Don't allow them to fade away into unfulfilled promises. Stand up, take ownership, monitor their progress, demand accountability, and report concerns to ICPC. Call our toll-free line now on 0800-2255-4272 or WhatsApp only on 0806-656-4726. This message is brought to you by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) with support from MacArthur Foundation and the Center for Democracy and Development in Africa (CDD).
Nigeria, rich in traditional and cultural heritage, is intentional about promoting history and retaining cultural values. The country has succeeded in preserving its identities and that of the forefathers for ages through folklores, folk tales, traditional ceremonies, community-based initiatives, cuisine, and most notably museums and cultural centers. These institutions serve as invaluable repositories of history, ensuring that future generations remain connected to their roots and appreciate the diverse cultural tapestry of the nation. In Nigeria, there are over 38 museums comprising national, state, and privately owned institutions scattered across the country. Each of these museums plays a crucial role in safeguarding Nigeria's vast historical wealth, with collections that reflect the uniqueness of different ethnic groups, traditional practices, and historical transitions over time. In Lagos, the National Museum, located at the center of the city in Onikan, claims a notable collection of Nigerian art, including pieces of statuary, carvings, archaeological and ethnographical exhibits, among others. Of particular significance is the terracotta human head, known as Jema head, dated between 900 and 200 BC, which is part of the renowned Nok culture. The piece is named after Jema, the village where it was discovered. The museum is administered by the National Commission for Museums and Monuments and remain a key educational and historical attractions for visitors. Another prominent artifact housed within the museum is the famous Benin bronze head, an evidence to the artistic excellence of the Benin Kingdom.
The museum has a lot of functions, some of which are to educate, to entertain, research, interpretation, conservation and preservation of our cultural heritage. And the museum was established, Lagos Museum particularly, was established in 1957. It was formerly referred to as Department of Antiquities. So, well, the journey so far has been interesting because, we are here, to showcase our cultural heritage, not just to the country, but to the world. And we have series of, events that we do, that involve the community. And because of that, we create that awareness that this is where you can come and, see and feel your cultural heritage, your traditions, your history. Because it is said that a people without a history is a people without identity. So the museum portrays this to the people. And over the years, that is what we've been doing. Through education, community participation, we have galleries, that we display some of our objects, our antiquities, that showcase our patrimony and all there is to know about our cultural inheritance. And so the museum, has been doing that over the years, and, we still keep doing more.
The Lagos National Museum was founded in July 1957 by English archaeologist Kenneth Murray, following the submission of textural sketch in 1948 at a conference on museum policy in Nigeria. Kenneth Murray collected several traditional masks from Cross River State to display in the museum's early years, according to historical records. The primary purpose of structuring the museum was to preserve Nigeria's historical artifacts and cultural heritage. Fortunately, that vision has remained alive to this day. The museum serves as a significant tourist attraction for Lagos residents and international visitors alike, offering an immersive glimpse into the nation's past. Some of the remarkable artifacts currently on display at the museum include the bullet-ridden car in which former Nigerian head of state, General Murtala Muhammad, was assassinated, pictures of previous rulers and presidents of Nigeria from different eras, a diverse collection of cultural drums, tools, and ceremonial staffs from various ethnic groups, historical crowns and caps of revered traditional rulers symbolizing their power and authority. photographs of Queen Elizabeth II and her entourage during her visit to Nigeria, reflecting moments of colonial history.
It's so immense. Museum is a reminder of what the society is all about, because a number of us are missing the link. We don't even know the role, the significance of the society we find ourselves because of foreign influence. But when you come to museum, it will bring your mind back to the original habitat, the way of life of people, how things should be seen in the society, and how we should react to phenomenal changes in our environment. Basically, we'll be doing this work of educating the general public, not only Nigerians, over 20-something years here, and the impact has been so tremendous. To the point that what we do at the museum is in consonance with the curriculum of our institutions, from primary, nursery, primary, secondary, even tertiary, even people in their corporate organization. They deem me free to come to National Museum anytime they feel like we are missing the link, we have missed a lot of things concerning the way of life of our forefathers. You know, even here, apart from that, we do have what is called seminar. We organize seminar for expatriates, for individuals. They come around on Wednesdays to come and listen and learn on cultural-based subjects.
I think it was great. I mean, I particularly like the circle of life that are presented in here, right? From birth to reincarnation to external influences. I think I gave a good history of Nigeria. I learned a lot about that. There seems to be some real big connection between Nigeria and Benin in terms of the history that I wasn't totally aware of. I was able to see the different artifacts and stuff that were presented. So it was quite interesting. They did, I think, a pretty good job doing a comprehensive tour or comprehensive history of Nigeria and its culture and its surrounding areas.
A visit to the Lagos National Museum offers an enriching experience, transporting visitors back in time and allowing them to connect with Nigeria's rich and diverse history. The museum provides an opportunity to explore stories of resilience, artistry, and governance that have shaped the nation. Whether you are a history enthusiast, a student, or simply a curious traveler, stepping into this museum promises a nostalgic journey through Nigeria's past, fostering a deeper appreciation for its cultural legacy. Nigeria continues to reflect the stories that shapes its people, steadfast in its commitment to promoting history and preserving its cultural values for generations to come. Grace Komalafe, SOUQ Perspective.
Dr. SOUQ A. Adedeji, whose leadership has significantly transformed Nigeria's tax administration, is a distinguished first-class graduate in accounting from the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and he currently serves as the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
I firmly believe in the wisdom encapsulated in the statements. Revenue growth is the lifeblood of a nation's economy, providing means to fulfill essential duties to its citizens. These words capture the core principle that will guide us as we navigate the challenging terrain ahead, ensuring that our nation thrives and fulfills its obligation to its citizens. In our pursuit of greater fiscal future, we are determined to align ourselves with President Bola Tinubu's Extreme Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee. This collaboration will enable us to shape the prosperous fiscal landscape that will empower our nation's growth and development.
Born on January 8, 1978 in Ogbomoso, Oyo State, Nigeria, Dr. Adedeji is an accomplished accountant and public officer with extensive expertise in corporate taxation and public finance. His journey in public service began in 2011 when he was appointed as Commissioner for Finance in Oyo State. In that capacity, Adedeji introduced transformative financial reforms, most notably the establishment of the Treasury Single Account (TSA) to streamline government revenues and expenditures. In March 2021, President Muhammadu Buhari appointed Adedeji as Executive Secretary of the National Sugar Development Council (NSCDC). In this capacity, he founded the Nigeria Sugar Institute and spearheaded the Sugar Backward Integration Program, which sought to enhance local sugar production and reduce reliance on foreign imports. In June 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed Adedeji as Special Advisor on Revenue, and by September of that same year, he had ascended to the position of Executive Chairman of FIRS, Nigeria's leading tax authority responsible for the assessment, collection, and management of federal taxes.
The focus will be on these indirect taxes, so that as long as you consume, you have to pay. As long as you have interest on your investment, you have to pay. And this is echoing Mr. President's message that we are not going to tax the seed, but we are going to tax the fruit. The fruit is what we focus on. So all those things, when we have this holistic process, it will be captured, and that the vision is to have a progressive tax, that if you earn more, you pay more, and if you earn less, you will not pay.
Under his leadership, FIRS exceeded its 2023 revenue target of 11.55 trillion naira. As chairman of FIRS, Dr. Adedeji implemented a performance-based system aligning with the service's new slogan, simplifying tax, maximizing revenue.
Dr. SOUQ Adedeji has done incredibly well in transforming and reforming the tax processes and procedures in Nigeria. In a little over a year being at the helms of the affairs of the tax body in Nigeria, we have seen a significant improvement in revenue generation. His policy of not crumbling business with taxation is something that also needs to be applauded. SOUQ Adedeji philosophy is taxing fruits and not the seed, and taxing prosperity, not poverty. Because if you look at the fiscal landscape of Nigeria in the past 10 years, you find that businesses have struggled to live, and that has led to the exit of so many businesses from Nigeria. But with this new reform, we're saying that the businesses will profit from the reform processes, and that will mean more business for Nigeria. We will have a lot of foreign inflow in terms of foreign direct investment that will actually drive the process of economic growth for the country. And I think he has done so well, and he deserves a kudos, especially for taking the giant stride to restructure FIRS for efficiency, for accountability, and for value for money.
He has also made the welfare of the staff a top priority, fostering a positive working environment that has brought smiles to the faces of FIRS employees nationwide. Supporters of the tax reform bills highlight several key benefits, harping on the need for streamlined tax processes that could reduce bureaucratic hurdles and foster an environment where businesses can thrive.
He has initiated a lot of reform which dovetail into the tax reform bills that is before the National Assembly. This initiative is to improve on the tax administration system in Nigeria with a view to improving on the collection systems that will be beneficial to every member of the Nigerian state. SOUQ, as is well known, has improved on simplifying tax reform even within the federal land revenue, which in no means has improved on tax administration, and he celebrated essentially for the core initiative of the tax reform.
Under Dr. Adedeji's leadership, Nigeria's tax system has gone beyond mere policy adjustments. Its focus is on fostering sustainable growth and ensuring that the benefits of tax reforms reach both businesses and citizens.
So those that are attaching the bill, one, they are doing that in view of the formula they discovered, which may not be, will not augur well for them on the bad allocation. And then secondly, they may be having the feeling that this law was just designed to favor Lagos State in the course of its own effort to become a state that has special status. Okay? It says so that will make it to be seen as if it is a country of its own, even though it's not up to the level of country, but it is higher than all other states in the country. Probably this may be the reason why they are agitating. The one that you can see clearly is on this issue of VAT. And then they have other suspicion. So that is another worry that I have. The issue of trust. Trust, what do some experts call trust deficit. Yes, will be promoted greatly by this if corrective measures are not taken. Graduation must not be defined. But then people have to go by what is happening now. As they go against it. Since now the graduation is about contribution of state that are producing these goods and services being consumed. So they have the right to just say that, oh, well, so now instead of 20%, it will now be 60%. And then you hear the government functionaries, including members of the committee, saying that no, that's not what they mean. They mean area of consumption. This 60% graduation is about consumption area, not location of the headquarters of company that produce the good or services. You should have defined that in the law.
Contributing to long-term national development, Dr. SOUQ Adedeji's career is a testament of his unwavering commitment to improving Nigeria's financial systems and enhancing revenue generation, showcasing his exceptional expertise in corporate and public finance. At the heart of a strong currency lies a simple principle. The demand for local goods drives production, creates jobs, reduces reliance on imports, and ultimately stabilizes the exchange rates. Countries like Rwanda, South Africa, and Egypt have achieved remarkable success by investing in their own industries. Rwanda has built a textile industry that competes with foreign imports. South Africa has developed a powerful automobile sector, and Egypt has excelled in agribusiness exports. These nations have strengthened their currencies by prioritizing local production, consumption, and exports. Nigeria, with its vast resources, stands at the threshold of a similar transformation. When Nigerians buy locally made products, fewer dollars flow out of the country for imports, preserving foreign exchange reserves. As local industries become more competitive, they can also expand exports, particularly under the African Continental Free Trade Area, bringing in foreign exchange and strengthening the naira. In 2022, Nigeria spent over $9 billion on food imports. If just half of that had been directed towards locally made goods, it could have significantly reduced pressure on the naira. The key lies in industries with the potential to drive economic growth: agro-processing, textiles, automotive, technology, and leather goods. Nigeria is already a leader in agriculture, but to fully benefit, the country needs to move beyond exporting raw commodities to processed goods. Products like cashew nuts, shea butter, palm oil derivatives, and hibiscus flowers command higher prices internationally. Ghana earns about $2 billion annually from cocoa processing, while Nigeria's cocoa exports lag far behind. With investment in food processing plants and the branding of agricultural exports as premium African products, Nigeria can bridge this gap, reduce reliance on European imports, and tap into Africa's fast-growing middle class. The Nigerian fashion industry has also gained global recognition, but the country still imports billions of dollars in textiles. In 2021, Nigeria imported over $4 billion worth of textiles, while Ethiopia, using local cotton, earned $110 million from garment exports. By boosting local textile manufacturing and using Nigerian cotton, Nigeria could reclaim a significant share of the $15 billion African fashion industry, positioning cities like Lagos, Aba, and Kano as textile hubs. Nigeria's automobile sector also presents an opportunity. The country spends over $8 billion annually on vehicle imports. In contrast, South Africa's automotive sector contributes over $12 billion to its GDP and employs more than 100,000 people. By implementing policies that support local vehicle assembly and production, Nigeria can reduce import dependency, create jobs, and become the region's automobile hub. Nigeria's tech ecosystem, home to fintech giants like Flutterwave and Paystack, is already Africa's largest. If Nigerians prioritize homegrown software solutions, the country can reduce capital flight and strengthen its tech industry, making Nigeria
There's something about location, there is something about infrastructure, there is something about where you get opportunity, in quotes. And so people, because of some company, organization, offices who have been, who are located on the island, so there's a rush for that. Now, of course, for you to pay whatever it is, whether 10 million or 18 million, that means your take-home should be around 50 million or 100 million.
Well, number one, I don't think the people paying, they are complaining. Okay. And I'm not sure the houses are empty. The truth is that you get to a point in a house and you're not able to pay. Like he said, he moved out.
Yes.
Because we have to look. I don't think the landlords are old.
These are the things I feel that Lagos state government can also come into it and provide low-cost housing estate. We had it during the times of Jakonde, during the times of Otedola and like. So, because their so-called low-cost housing estate is not low-cost at all.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of SOUQ Business Landscape, where we go beyond news to uncover what happened, why it matters, who wins, who loses, and what comes next. I am Olumide Shokoya. I'm also joined by Dr. Idahusel Samanze. Good morning and welcome to SOUQ Business Landscape.
Olumide, good morning. Pleasure to be here. Good morning, viewers out there. Another day of hope.
All right, so if I may ask you, I'm sure you've seen videos of this vandalism going on under the bridge. Yesterday there was also another video. The task force rounded up some people staying in all those shanties and all that. What do you think is the lasting solution to all this? You know, we have those they call iron condemn who go, you know, in the neighborhoods, they get things to recycle. Should we round them up and just ban them totally because they are also sourcing for means of livelihood? Or what should the government do?
I think it's quite unfortunate. I want to see it as a disconnect between the state and the citizens. That many of people at the lower rung of the ladder seem to be dissociated or distant from state's infrastructure as if it is not theirs. And I think that's the only thing that account and explain for some of the things that we see in our country. You see people go to break major highways. Some people go to rail track to remove iron just to sell. And some people vandalize electricity infrastructure just to sell wire and the rest of it, because at the end of the day, they just feel it's not theirs and it's somebody else's own. And then this set of people come around again, and the people, of course, society call and say, oh, they are suffering. And then we find ways to blackmail if they are arrested or dealt with, and say because they don't have the means to defend themselves. So it's quite unfortunate. But again, it speaks to the greed and selfishness in many of us, which is the fundamental issue that we see. So you can imagine if this person at this low rung of the society can vandalize public good for personal gain. Imagine making him the president of Nigeria, where he has access to the treasury. He will loot it. It's a kind of a chronograph nature of the greed in most of us.
Yes.
And I think it's something that we must, you see, because at the end of the day, people are saying, oh, those are stealing money. But you go to a manhole and remove the iron and sell it. You go to a rail track and remove iron and sell it. You cut electricity and sell the wire for your personal gain. And then you turn around and blame other people that they are stealing public money. You see, this is an irony. That people can get to that and they cannot even collectively protect this thing that belongs to all of us. Knowing fully well that if you take an iron off a rail track and the train is coming, that it will lead to accident and people will die.
All right, thank you very much. Doctor, let's quickly move on to what we have today. We have a whole lot on our table this morning. Coming up shortly on SOUQ Business Landscape, Nigeria's livestock economy is already worth an estimated $32 billion, but the federal government wants more than double that figure. Now, can livestock become Nigeria's major economic figure? Now, 7 states added to 355 billion naira to their domestic debt in just 3 months. Why are some states borrowing more while others are cutting their debt? From that, there's a major shift in Nigeria's refinery story, with local refineries receiving 53.7 million barrels of crude in the second quarter. One major refinery reportedly rejected millions of barrels. What's behind this supply dispute? We will find out. Now, the Abuja-Kano Highway, yes, is now targeted for completion in November. with the project reaching about 752 billion naira. What will this massive infrastructure investment mean for trade and transportation? Lagos has received more than 365 billion naira in Federation account revenue in 6 months. Where is the money going, and how much of it is enough to transform the state? And lastly, with a 2-bedroom apartment on Lagos Island costing as much as 17.25 million naira a year. Yes, you heard it, 17.25 million naira a year. Has renting in Lagos become a luxury or a necessity? We'll find out after this break. Stay tuned. President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria is targeting more than doubling the livestock sector's estimated $32 billion annual contribution to the economy as part of effort to establish the country as a leading livestock production and processing hub in Africa. Tinubu stated this in Abuja at the opening of the 9th All Africa Conference of Animal Agriculture. Now, he said the federal government is committed to transforming livestock production from a largely subsistence and cultural activity into a modern technology. Now, driven and commercially competitive industry, represented by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, that's George Akume. Now, the President said that the transformation would strengthen the food security, create jobs, and of course improve Nigeria's competitiveness in the African livestock market. This is quite a good news, Doctor. It's good to see that we are diversifying. We're not depending on just crude alone. We're trying to diversify. And this administration is doing a whole lot to see that, there are so many avenues of creating wealth. There are so many avenues of how the country can actually grow economically. I mean, towards that $1 trillion economy. What's your thought on this?
Well, I think it's one area of our economy that we have not harnessed so well. If you check the Food and Agriculture Organization statistics about the livestock industry in Nigeria, they have it that we have over 55 million cattle or cows, and several millions of goats, several millions of fowl, birds as they call them. And all of this is not translating into real value for us as a country. And if you put that side by side with Denmark, a very small country,
yes,
that is living off the livestock, you think that there's a whole lot that needs to be done. There's a whole lot that needs to be done. And that's why a lot of us feel that there's so much about us that are untapped. And I think the point the President made, that we must transition from taking livestock as a cultural business to fully commercializing it, deploying technology is quite up at this point in time. But again, if you look at it historically, you find that successive regime has made attempt to see how to redesign and modernize the livestock business in Nigeria. But unfortunately, we've not been successful. I remember those days when Ogbe was the Minister of Agriculture, and he was thinking about how government could improve the feed for the livestock, and was contemplating having a partnership to see how we can get grazing grass from Brazil to help the livestock industry. a lot of us mocked him, especially those who are in media. And they say, well, there are no grass in Nigeria. Why would somebody be thinking about importing grasses? And unfortunately, Ogbe himself is a farmer and he knew what he was talking about. And these are some of the pushback that we have seen. When Muhammadu Buhari came into office, he also attempted to see how do we rest once and for all the nomadic nature, especially for our cow business, and see how we can domesticate it. And then, of course, remember the popular Ruga concept came,
yes.
Where people were talking about how do we do ranching and states. And so a lot of people, again, campaign of calumny, truly there to say, oh, but Muhammadu Buhari was trying to colonize the Nigerian states for the Fulanis. And because of those blackmail, the government really were not able to make progress.
Why were states against this ranching?
Yeah, but you see, that's why I call it, says the campaign of calumny is blackmail. And there was a whole lot of politics around some of all these things. And what this eventually will mean for us is that, and I think I have said this time without number, that our people have not been able to prioritize, economy over politics. And I think that is a real pushback for Nigerian growth and development. So no matter how brilliant your idea is, people will always want to read ethnic meaning or religious meaning into those ideas. And therefore, we have been stagnated for too long. See, because just imagine that it is only milk or dairy product we are taking away from these over 50 million cows that we have. That will be a huge market, not just for Africa, but a global market, if we convert it. Denmark is taking over 45 billion from dairy alone. We're not talking about beef. So when you look at it, you see that there's more productivity in Denmark compared to our population. So our population is known as, I would want to say, translating into high value. Because again, in the value chain, there's a whole lot of gap that are not met. So even if you are going to be doing making, you are going to be thinking that, yes, storage. We need to, yes, of course, cold storage for milk, processing facilities, and all these things that we can put in place to actually ensure that this thing is not just money spinner. It is going to be a prosperity engine if properly put in place. We need vet doctors to be trained in their millions, who will be able to attend to the health of these animals. We don't have that at the moment. We need good feeding for these animals. So not the link structure that we are seeing here. You see one cow in Denmark can weigh up to 900 kg.
But Doctor,
you see the beef and these things that come from it. So there's a whole lot that the industry affords us in terms of creating employment instead of reducing poverty, but refusing to modernize it is a bigger problem that I think the government is going to face. So any government that will be able to take that decisive actions to stop nomadic livestock practice in Nigeria will, of course, will be given a kudos for a good job done, in my view. But there's a whole lot of pushback into this thing. So I feel that government is saying what is right, but will there be a political will to be able to execute this? The days coming will, of course, have to tell. I know government has made very significant progress in terms of, number one, also setting up a now full-fledged ministry for livestock. But what these people are able to do in terms of really domesticating what they're doing elsewhere in our own environment is yet to be seen.
All right, so you talked about nomadic lifestyle, but In order to address nomadic lifestyle, cattle ranching, we still have an underlying factor. We have the farmer-herder clash, which is there. So how do we solve, or how do we use one stone to kill two birds?
Well,
I mean, all of this,
the question is, why are farmer and herder clashing? It's because of the nomadic lifestyle.
So how do we solve it?
It's to ranch them. You don't see cow moving anywhere else in the world.
Can we actually stop cows from moving?
It is possible. It's possible. Designate places for it where cattle can graze. That's all. And they stay in their ranch. And those community of people who live there in the ranch, then of course government extend facility to them. For their children, schools are built. For their healthcare system, hospitals are provided. Access road is provided to ensure that what is produced in the ranch gets to the market. And all of the things that they need, electricity is in the place. The government is supplying them water. So all this is what is required. But you see, there's a narrative around this ranching that it is a kind of an indirect way of land grabbing. And this is a problem. And that is why, of course, some people are laying claim to what they call the gazetted grazing routes that was done when the population of Nigeria was barely 50 million. So we could afford grazing routes in 1960, 1970. But in 2026, Nigeria cannot afford grazing routes. Because those places you call grazing routes have become cities and towns.
Yes, developed.
So this is the only way to solve it, is to prohibit animals from moving in the streets and be restricted to a particular region. But we also have the responsibility to ensure that there are proper grazing facility in those areas, adequate water because the animal drinks a lot of water, and then of course make provisions for the education of the children that are born within that environment and provide them with good health care system. And all these things are part of the incentive that government has to put on the ground to encourage this thing to work. But for me, the proper thing to do is to ranch and let's have all these things, and we don't see animal wandering in the city, wandering on the road, looking for green grass. And I think once that is done, those issues that you call farmer header will be put to rest finally. Yeah. But unfortunately, there's pushback from states because another narrative is to see that every single cow in Nigeria is owned by a Fulani man, which again is a very poor narrative. Because the people of certain ethnic nationality are the ones specializing in maintaining those herds does not mean it belongs to them. So we must be able to understand that all these cows that you see in the south here that are grazing, they are owned by southerners who are also farming cows. So what I feel is important is that government must get the political will to be able to say, look, let's stop this practice. Let's have a good farm system. Let's support farmers. Just the way we are helping them with fertilizer, we have to also help them with grasses and water to graze. And this, of course, will put pay to the crisis that we witness in terms of animals wandering into other people's farm and eating up their crops.
All right, you also mentioned something about technology. So I wanted to ask, what role do you think technology can play in all this to help improve maybe the livestock, to improve the quality of livestock? You mentioned something about lean cows. What role can technology play? Well,
we cannot also take away the place of genetics.
Yes.
In animal husbandry, where we're going to do breeding. That, of course, will actually help you breed high-quality cow.
Genetic engineering.
Engineering, of course. So all this is required to be able to make our cows, what they should be, our fowl, what they should be, our goats and the rest of it to produce quality, curated, contents. So this, for me, is also very, very important. You see, there are animal diseases, just like you have human diseases.
Yes.
And then, of course, we must also find a way to provide adequate medical facilities for these animals. And that are all that is required by us. And, of course, people continue to study these animals and see how do we improve the yield, improve the quality of the milk, improve the quality of the beef, the quality of the leather and the rest of it. And all this can be done. And once we put this in here, and then, of course, technology, even of milking the animals, and not using a crude way to do it. These are scientifically deployed, will help that industry better than the way it is at the moment.
All right, so in all of this, the projection is 32, double. Now, we are estimating 32, we've not gotten there, but we are also estimating to double that, $32 billion. Do you think we have the capacity and the willpower, like you said?
I think what is missing is the willpower. If the government eventually today summon up that willpower to do what is needful, we can triple what we currently get from this, maybe in 2 years.
Do you think we need a legislation to enact, maybe for ranching or something that would, gear up states?
Yes, I think, yeah, of course. There are also extant rules and laws. And there were areas that were officially gazetted for ranching. I think what we just need to do to reinvent those laws, and if those places are no longer available, create new ranches, opportunities around the 36 states of the Federation, and then, of course, we can properly do livestock business.
Thank you very much. Let's quickly move on to the next story. We're looking at debt. Now, 7 Nigerian state governments increased their domestic debt stock by a combined 355.18 billion naira in the first quarter of 2026, despite claims by some governors that they had not taken fresh loans. Now, according to data from the Debt Management Office, the increase was concentrated among 7 states between December 31st, 2025 and March 31st, 2026. However, 29 other states recorded reductions in domestic debt stocks during the same period. Now, the figure highlights different debt management strategies across Nigeria's subnational governments, with some states increasing their borrowing while others actually reduced outstanding obligations. So, Doctor, yes, I know you've always said it's both nationals and subnationals, they need debt. They need to borrow. They need loans to expand, to do this. I mean, in fact, the United States, if you look at what their debt is the entire budget of Africa. But I must ask, 7 states have increased their debt. What are they actually borrowing money for?
Yeah, but without really holding brief for most of the states, there's a whole lot of pressure within the society at the moment. People are expecting a lot from government. Some states are not as viable as others. Some states have been infested with insecurity more than others.
Okay.
And these basic challenges that, of course, we see, of course, also putting pressure on the state to reinvent itself. Take, for example, Borno State. So IGI is poor.
Yes.
And then, of course, nobody is going to ask you whether you are passing through a war. So people want Borno to be like Lagos State. And, of course, if you are going to rate the performance of the governor, it's if he's able to do what is happening in Lagos. And that pressure alone will definitely push states like Borno to go look for money elsewhere. And so when you look at the states where this is happening, for example, you talk about Kaduna State, my own state, Edo State, where the governor is trying to do some major infrastructure projects. for the first time, I think that is building the first flyover in my own state. And I learned that that has turned into a tourist attraction right now because all our young boys and girls, that's where they go to do a hangout, first of its kind in Edo State. So these are infrastructure that are requiring facilities. So when you look at it, Nasarawa is also trying to see how to explore the solid mineral potentials within its state, and I think they've done a great deal in terms of investment there. So I think these are part of the states that are involved in this taking fresh loan domestically initiated debts. And of course, if you go to FCT, which is also one of them, and I think if you look at the resource coming to FCT from the Federation account, I think it's 1% of the revenue that's accruable to the federal government that is meant for FCT to develop. And when you look at the volume, for example, of the commissioning of projects that the Minister for FCT did in last month for 30 days consistently, you see that, of course, there should be justification that you needed a lot of funds to be able to fund those projects. And I think those are the things that are accounting for it. Like I said, there's a huge infrastructure gap in the country. And if that is anything to go by, and we will want to close that gap as quickly as possible because we need good life, definitely subnationals will still continue to borrow money. Yeah, for those who are not borrowing, yes, kudos, because they have the means. But the truth is that we need to double up in terms of providing basic amenities for our people. And that is the only way that we can be sure that people are living decent lives. And if it will take debt for us to invest in some of all these things to produce, whether they are social capital or even profit to the state, to generate IGI, I think it will be just a nice thing to do. Because if you are asking foreign investor to come to your state, for example, to do investment, you must also guarantee that there's safety and then, of course, the enabling environment for such business to prosper are there in terms of basic infrastructure, whether they be road, whether they be hotels, whether they be recreational facility, good healthcare, and all this will be needed. And I think that's what some of these states are doing. But again, when you look at it vis-a-vis debt to your IGI ratio, many of the states are in cool zone. I think about 3 of the states are in cool zone. One of the states is moderate, and I think that's Edo. And about 3 of the states, Borno and 2 others, are in the red zone, which means, of course, in terms of the debt to internally generated revenue ratio, the capacity of Borno and 2 other states to be able to repay their debt, if everything is equal, then it will be difficult. So, but things are always not equal.
Why not cut your coat according to your cloth? If you don't have the resources to pay back this debt, if you don't have projects that would yield profit to pay back this debt, why?
Yeah, but you see, there's also a pressure for performance. It's not just about staying and you are sitting down there, because the citizens are expecting you to do more.
When you say do more, a particular governor married off about 1,000 of his citizens, and you wonder, well, if you sponsor weddings, there's life after marriage, there's life after wedding. What happens then? Is that a good way of supporting your state?
Well, I think it's what the priority of every state government is. The issue is, again, you are looking at some people feel they are up to the age of marriage and they are not marrying. And the reason is, the economy is hard, they cannot afford it, and the rest of it. And some people just wasting their life away, and also thinking by making that provision for them to marry can make them more responsible. That if they have responsibility and things that they are thinking about, then they may become more responsible. But the argument is neither here nor there. What is important for me is the fact that governments are doing social interventions. And I don't think it's even states alone. I think in the Catholic churches, what they call group marriage, where, of course, the church ensure that all young, marriageable people who will not need to be thinking about wedding gown or wedding suit or a very big reception, they can do mass wedding for everybody. So you can wear your akara and come for your wedding. So you don't need to go to break a bank for you to do wedding. Because even the lifestyle of wedding today in Nigeria is not anything that is a joke. For a country of very poor people, where resources is scarce, where people barely can go to school, you see very lavish lifestyle. I say to people, a lot of people are borrowing money to do these parties, just to say I have married. And whereas if you go to other climes, it's not as bad as that. So I think there's a need for us to actually set the template. I remember some years ago, I think it was under Governor Obiano in Anambra State. He has to put a cap on what people can spend on burial and marriage.
Yes.
But to what extent that piece of legislation was obeyed is a different argument on its own. Because a lot of people put themselves, in that competitive mode to say, if Mr. A spend this, me too, I want to spend this.
I want to shut down the street.
Yeah, of course, it's shutting down the street. You see, there was one certain marriage, I think it was Cubana's mother's of parent burial, that one person gave him about 46 cow.
Yes, Obi Cubana.
And then this was so we don't need that. And if you go to places now where people are doing burial or doing marriages, you see the kind of, for me, I feel it's waste, really.
All right, so coming back to this, most states, if not all, I stand to be corrected, have resources. What are they doing with their resources? Why are they channeling these resources to convert it into wealth for the state?
Well, I think, especially for resource to talk about, because they are all earth resource, and then you need to harness and convert them.
Definitely.
Then, of course, that requires a lot of resource. And this is the point that I'm making. So, if you have, for example, a rare earth mineral in your state, you don't have the capacity, your population don't have the capacity, for example, to process those rare earth minerals, so which means you will need people to come and do that job for you. So for those people to come, there must be basic facility in your environment.
Yes.
So that will make them comfortable to do that investment. So creating that convenient environment is what the problem is with most of the states. So we have to find a way to build this infrastructure, and then, and only then, you can see private investors come into your environment to take this raw material into finished product. And until those things are done, investment will still be scarce in those areas. So it's not that state have money. The state can start company anyway. So they will need people with money to come and do the business. And for those people to come into that place, the state will need to create the necessary basic infrastructure. And of course, this is where the investment is going right now. So many states are doing a lot of construction work as we speak.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor. I think we're due for a break. And when we come back, we'll have a special guest in the house. And when we come back, we'll continue with SOUQ Business Landscape. Stay tuned. I'm going to... Welcome back to SOUQ Business Landscape. Yes, I have a special guest here. I have Adeniyi Ifetayo, Chief Executive Officer, Megastar Media Limited. So glad to have you this morning on SOUQ Business Landscape.
It's my pleasure to be here once again.
You're welcome.
Or my first time, so to say.
Basically. All right, so let's move on to the next story here. We have this one coming in from the crude oil supply. Yes, if I can have that up and running. All right, so let's move on to the next story. Crude oil deliveries to Nigeria's domestic refineries surged by 88.4% in the second quarter of 2026, according to the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. Now, the NUPRC said local refineries received 53.7 million barrels of crude oil and condensate between April and June, up from 28.5 million barrels delivered in the first quarter. Now, the increase coincided with a 97.4% performance under the federal government's domestic crude supply obligations. Now, the stronger supply is expected to support domestic refinery operations, increase the availability of locally produced petroleum products, and reduce Nigeria's dependence on imported refined fuel. I'm starting with you, Dr. Adeni. We've always talked about trying to increase our local refinery, boost our local refinery. And it says here that, I mean, we had about 53.7 million barrels of crude oil. That's an increase. And also, some people are of the opinion that it is cheaper to import fuel. We've also heard this thing. And Doctor and I, we've bantered so many times that, he said he's of the opinion that for us to increase our crude, we need to bring in technologies, we need to, boost up take care of a whole lot of things. But from your own perspective, what do you think can get us? I mean, we are doing 2.5, but we're also thinking of increasing that beyond the OPEC target. But what do you think can be the final solution or lasting solution? Apart from Dangote, we've talked about Dangote. Let's have more Dangote.
There's another thing I feel that the government, they are not looking at as modular refineries.
Okay.
That can be encouraged from private citizens, to partner, just like we normally say government cannot do everything. And that reminds me of the famous, former American president, John F. Kennedy, who said, ask what you can do for your country, don't ask what your country can do for you. So I think they should give that enabling environment for those who can come in, especially modular refineries. And also, if you look at the Niger Delta region, we've been battling with vandalism, people refine local, which puts life, in danger. I think there's a kind of rehabilitation. If they can pick those people, how are you doing it? How can we make it, this state or this geopolitical zone, let's have enough modular refinery that can serve the people so that it will reduce the cost of, after they refine, transporting it back to the end user. So local refinery should be encouraged. Also technology, there's nothing you can do in this age and time without using technology to drive some of the things that we are doing. Of course, storage also needs to be looked into, and then transportation. Many a times we produce in Lagos, they need to take it to a state like, let's say, Osun or Ondo State and all of that. So then the ecosystem around it that make it to the end user, those people who are playing at the downstream sector, how do they get it so that it will reduce the burden on Nigeria? And then, of course, just because in the past, Nigeria, they did what they call crude oil swap.
Yes. Crude for Naira?
Yeah, crude for Naira. Not only that, some construction company, they don't receive Naira, they don't receive dollars.
They receive crude.
They receive crude oil. So whenever we produce, those people need to be given their quota first. Before we now talk about the OPEC, whether we want to sell to the international market. So the remaining one that is left is barely enough for Nigeria to consume. And that is why you see that Dangote sometimes, you bring down the price, you increase the price, because sometimes it needs to import to complement, because, yes, thank God for the initiative of federal government that crude oil should be sold in Naira to Dangote or what have you. But if it doesn't have enough quota even to serve the Nigerian market, it needs to import. And they don't accept Naira there. So I feel that another thing the government can do, lastly for me, is that our crude oil should be sold in Naira, so that Naira can be a sought-after currency in international markets. Bring your whatever dollar, you must buy Naira. So it will also make our currency to be strong.
Coming to you, Doctor, he said he made mention of modular refineries. I know we've talked about modular refineries. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I think issue is not about whether government will allow modular refineries. We have 25 licenses as we speak.
Okay.
That federal government through the NURP has offered to Nigerians to produce.
Okay.
At the moment, just about 4 or 5 of them are operational. So you have over 20 of them that are not functional at all. Some of them are looking for money. Some of them are in their various development phases. That's part of it. But I think the most important conversation for me today is the fact that it's not just the refining capacity. It's even the ability to be able to generate as much crude as we can. Saudi Arabia is a very small country, and they're doing between 9 to 10 million barrels per day. And where we are today, at least thanks to the current regime, that we have been able to move from 1.1 million barrels, we're doing between 1.1 to 1.3 million barrels, we're doing as of 2023, to between 1.56 and 1.7 million barrels, which again has also brought some relief to government because, like he rightly mentioned, some of these oil were front sold, and of course we have received some of those money and we have spent it before this regime came in. So we are producing more crude today, and at least it's putting extra resource in the hand of government. I think we just need to ramp that up, because if what Dangote is trying to do, for example, expanding the current facility that is taking about 650,000 barrels of crude per day to the 1 million that is trying to do, that of course will mean that if we don't even have obligation anywhere, about 1 million barrels of our crude will be needed by Dangote every month. And if BOA completes its project in Akwa Ibom, which is about 200,000 or 250,000 capacity daily, you see what that will mean. But like I've always argued, economics is common sense. Yes, it's good to sell crude for naira.
Yes.
But we also have other obligations that will require dollar. And then, of course, that put pressure on the demand for dollar, because there are a lot of things that we're not producing here in this country. All the hangars we have, all Temu has more business in Nigeria than they have elsewhere in Africa. So all these things that they are bringing into our environment are produced elsewhere. And for you to do those imports, you need a lot of dollar to spend and all of that. But I think if we ramp up what we produce in terms of crude, we can both earn dollar and naira at the same time. And I think that is where we should actually be heading toward, because the thing is there on our land. We just need to create the right enabling environment for investors to come, put in their money, and then we can ramp up crude production. Then we can service all the modular refineries that are in operations, and then the bigger refineries. And then even government can contemplate to own a refinery if it is necessary.
You want government to own a refinery?
If we can run it. Yeah, but you know that I'm not an advocate of a government doing business, because government has no business doing business.
Yes, you also mentioned 25 licenses. Are they operational? Are they monitored?
I just told you, there is only 4 or 5 of them that are operational.
So how do we get the remaining? I know there was a kind of, was it a law that if you don't operate this, or if you don't at so time, it will be taken back?
That was a long time ago when Obasanjo gave out licenses to for modular refinery. I think that was around 2004, and a lot of people went for those licenses. About 6 companies actually went. And then, of course, they were given the condition, not because that was what the state wanted, it's because at that time, NNPC was monopoly. And there's a law that is in Nigeria that they are only body that is empowered to produce petrol or refine petrol. And therefore, if you have modular refinery in that environment, you cannot sell internally, because the sole right to sell petrol belonged to NNPC at that time. And I think we have since moved beyond that space now. Government has democratized the entire upstream and downstream, and therefore people can participate and you can produce locally and sell locally. But I think it's a capacity, because some of all this still require funding. And like I said in our earlier conversation, we were talking about state borrowing. You see, for you to do some of all this operation, you must create an enabling environment for people who are coming to drill to be able to do these things. So if people are going to refine petrol and they're afraid of being kidnapped, for example, in your environment, you see that license can be there, but it will be inactive. So there are a lot of factors that are making some of these things not working. And I think that government need to put a lot of emphasis, first build first-class infrastructures that can enable some of these businesses to thrive. But then, of course, people must also look out for ways to make money and not just owning this thing that matters. Let these businesses go to the capital market to generate funds to some of all this business. And I think if they are collectively owned, they are likely to make more prosperity than one individual try to own the projects.
All right, thank you. Let's quickly move on to the next story, which is similar. Now, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery reportedly rejected about 15.5 million barrels of crude oil offered by producers in the second quarter of 2026, according to the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, that's the NUPRC. Now, they disclosed that the figure in its second quarter of 2026 report on the enforcement of domestic crude supply obligation, highlighting challenges in supplying crude to domestic refineries. Now, however, the Dangote refinery disputed the claim and requested supporting statistics from the regulator. The disagreement comes amid efforts by Nigeria to strengthen domestic crude supply and ensure local refineries have adequate feedstock as the country expands its refinery capacity and seeks to reduce dependence on imported petroleum products. So coming to you, Mr. Adeni, why do you think, what gave rise to this rejection? I mean, 15.5 million barrels crude rejection by the Dangote refinery.
You know, some of these crude oil, they have, let me say, the range or the quality.
Okay.
And that, and if they want to refine them, just like, you know, Dangote does not just serve only Nigerian market alone and other international community. And of course, there are expectations from OPEC that whatever it is you want to refine, you want to do, let it be of this standard, or these are the kind of product you can get for you, for the outcome to meet the international standards. So those are the things, looking at all those things is not just about garbage in, then you garbage out, oh, we have crude oil that you want to. They know what the kind of product they need and the kind of output they want to give out. So I'm sure because of that. But for me, they usually say that nothing is wasted. If there are things that we are still clamoring, why are we still importing when we have some people that can still do the job, or we have this thing in abundance? It's just for them to know what works for us, so that we have this crude oil in large quantity, and I'm sure the government with the right, just like Doctor said, creating an enabling environment so that they can thrive and give the support, because whether you like it or not, Nigeria economy is oil denominated. So, but because of that, adequate attention needs to be given to it, especially the ecosystem around it, so that we can make the best out of it.
All right, well, let's quickly move on to the next story. It has to do with highway construction. Now, the federal government says the remaining sections of the Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria-Kano highway will be completed by November, with the cost of ongoing works now estimated at 752 billion naira. Now, the Minister of Works, Dave Umai, disclosed this in Abuja on Monday, saying that more than 80% of the cost of the two major sections being handled by the present administration, of course, has already been paid. Now, the strategic highway is expected to improve connectivity between major cities across northern Nigeria, ease movement of people and goods, and support economic activity. Now, the government says that completing these projects remains a priority for strengthening road infrastructure and, of course, reducing travel challenges along the corridor. Coming to you, Dr. Adeni, 752 billion naira. spent already, and he said it has already been paid for. Do you think this would ease, business activities? What benefit are we going to see from this? How will commuters, and freight operators benefit?
First and foremost, when it comes to infrastructure like this, most of the time we complain that the contractor complained that government have not released funds, the money has not been paid. So this one, I think, is the right direction that those ones have been paid. So for me, it's not just the payment that have been made. Let the contractor and get the local involved. It's good they are saying that this money have been paid. Let the people along that corridor, the community, the youth, whether emir, whatever, let them know so that, at so time, so that they can keep a tab, so that it won't be what we are used to. You hear, Lagos Ibadan Expressway have been awarded, Kano, this have been awarded. The next year again, you will see it again that it has been re-awarded, it has been awarded and all of that. So we don't just, not just that the payment have been made, the contractor must make sure, must do the work, and people who are connected on that corridor, both government, local government, state, whatever, must partner to see that the work is ongoing and delivers at when due. It's not that somebody will just pocket money and will go into thin here, maybe because it's influential, we are said to somebody and nobody is saying anything. So the thing that government is still lacking, in as much as they are building road or infrastructure, they should get the locals involved. When I mean by local, I mean the people that the road, the corridor, the project, pass through their boundaries and all of that. Let them know, get them involved, so they know what is being released, what time, what they need to do. From today is Monday, by Friday, we should complete another 2 kilometers. If they are not doing it, you should be saying it. So it's not just that the government has awarded the contract and everybody will go to sleep. I used to tell people, when the government starts any infrastructure in your community, better start praying so that they will complete it, so that it won't become an abandoned project. So with that, and also, of course, I also want a situation that even anti-graffiti agents should be involved in this, so that you know that people are watching. So it's not just that you have received money and you go and relax. And the quality of what you have promised is a different thing you propose for a job. I'm going to use this quality of product or whatever material, and because the money is in your hand now, you want to change yourself, the quantities of it. Those are the things that they need to look into. It's not that we spend over 725 billion on road construction, and in the next 1 year, you can't recognize that road again. They want to re-award it again. So that shouldn't happen.
So,
because it's the taxpayers' money.
All right. So what about maintenance? We always have this culture of not being able to maintain after completion. Do you think maintenance should also be factored into some of these projects?
It should be, and I think they can borrow a leave from some of the state governments. Sometimes, I'm sure maybe when you leave your house very early in the morning, you see some women on the highway trying to clean or do 1 or 2 things. So maintenance, I think the government can come up with an agency, road maintenance, if they have anything like that. I'm sure some states, they do have it.
Yes.
Who takes care of the road, so there's a damage or there's something they need to be fixed on time so that it will not escalate. And those are the things. And of course, we are talking about Kano or Abuja to Kano. You and I, we know the issue of security issue. So I think there are some stations, if it is 5 kilometers from each other, a police post, I don't know whether it's included in the contract, because I've not seen it. A police post should be there, maybe 10 kilometers, an ambulance should be there, maybe 15 kilometers, fire service station should be there in case of any, because it's also a major route that connects states together. So those things need to be put in place, and of course, just like you said, the maintenance, because what you don't maintain, you misuse it, and what you misuse, it won't last.
Thank you very much. Coming to you, Doctor, I remember there was a video I watched, I think, over the weekend. Dave Umahi commissioned some road highway task force team who will be on the highway to monitor, assess, and all that. Do you think we need to, just like Adeni said here, that maybe we should also put a police post? How do we ensure that these roads are well, properly maintained, and safe enough for people to travel, to do business, logistics, and all that?
Well, I think we have a very complicated case in the country, and the government is doing a lot about securing the environment and making space safe for people to live, work, and do business. Yeah, but you see, and I think the issue here is the nature of our budgeting system. That's actually the problem. I remember, I think it was in 2022 or 2021, when Nyesom Wike was the governor of Rivers State. He made this argument that the way our budgeting is done for road infrastructure is designed to fail ab initio. And you know, I've said a lot about the envelope budgeting system in Nigeria, where, of course, if a Ministry of Work asks for a 750 billion to do a road project, and then, of course, in the release, they give you an envelope of about 200 million. It's not specifically said, oh, this is for this particular road project, and then the ministry has to sit down and see how to manage that envelope within the competing priorities of projects in their hand. And because of this, a lot happens, and then, of course, you get into people coming to reevaluate their projects, and then, of course, taking too long time. Inflation has eaten into the cost, initial cost of that project. We're doing reevaluation and the rest of all that, which has really been the nightmare for a lot of contractors in Nigeria. And I think when he came into Abuja, that was the first request he made of the federal government. And he said, well, please, I don't mind the 1% that you are giving to us, take it out of TSA. We want to leave it in the commercial bank so that we can take overdraft to do our road. And when they know that money is going to come from us, then, of course, they can give us loan and we can quickly complete our project. And, of course, the president gave him that waiver. And that is exactly what is resulting in the volume of work that we're seeing that is doing in FCT today. And that, again, accounts for the borrowing that we talk about, because it's borrowing in view of the revenue that the state, the Federal Capital Territory is expecting. So that model is what is working for him. And I think it's one model that the federal government also are named to take into account. I think recently, the DG procurement also came to re-emphasize that, no, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation came to re-emphasize that if you don't have a budget, don't give contracts. So some of all these things are things that we need to do. But strictly speaking, I think we should also go back to, although we already do it in part, what they call the retention fee that is taken for contractor, which is supposed to be for managing the liability of maintenance of that road for a period of time. So if we have 10%, for example, of that contract sum, that is said that this road is supposed to last for 10 years. And if 10 years there's a pothole in this road, this money we will keep to fix that road.
Yes.
Then a lot of contractors will sit up. I tell you one funny thing that happened in the UAE. So in their project SOUQ, those clean road projects, so they have 10% return. And what happened is that you see contractor go to radio to announce, on this highway, if you can spot a pothole, report it, we will give you 1,000 dirham. So citizens are scouting for potholes on the road. And immediately they spot a pothole, they report to the numbers that they send. Overnight, they go back there to go and tidy it up. So the citizen becomes the monitor for the contractor, because they understand that their money is still in the hands of government. And for them to be able to take that money back, they ensure that that road is in a motorable situation for all it cares. So these are things that we need to do. So if we are ready to build a road, we must ensure that the people that we are giving contract to, that they are sufficiently mobilized. Because here in Nigeria, what people do before now is that they just take the contract, when they take the mobilization, whether you pay or don't pay, they just walk away. So we need to be able to do proper budgeting when it comes to building road infrastructure, and then, of course, see how we can also ensure that this is ongoing. You see, like I said, we must also move away from the way we currently encourage laziness in our environment, because we cannot but state this as one of the fundamental problems of insecurity in Nigeria. You see, we have gotten to that point in our life that we believe that, oh, we must get certificate to live a good life. I keep saying and hammering on that. Cheap money does not exist anywhere. And people must be made to understand that they need to work to earn a living. And the moral responsibility lies on our traditional rulers, lies on our religious institutions to be able to encourage people that crime is not part of our culture, so that our young people are given to work. You see, people always argue that there is no work. The truth of the matter is that it's not that there is no work. It's people are selecting the kind of job that they want to do. That's the problem. So jobs are everywhere. In this your studio, we are looking for editors who will come out with, we put advert for 2 years, you don't see editor appear. And yet they say in that same country, you see there's no work. There are some people who are living in Canada today still working in the banks in Nigeria in terms of fintech, because they left and nobody can fill their vacuum. These are jobs that we need to deliberately train people to become part and parcel of this ecosystem, this economic ecosystem. And that is important. Once that is done, crime will go down. We don't need to be building police station in every single pole on an expressway that people understand. Like in Switzerland today, they are converting their prisons to schools.
Yes.
Because crime has gone almost to zero, and nobody is using those facilities. We can get to that place. Righteousness is not a nation. And that is what all of us must need to encourage. And not as we do in our public space to be justifying the reason why people are committing crime and say because society is bad. Nigerians have 60% arable, uncultivated land.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Let's move on to the next story. Now, Lagos State emerged as Nigeria's largest recipient of Federation account revenue in the first half of 2026, collecting 365.78 billion naira between January and June. Now, the figure represents an increase of more than 50% from the 236.92 billion naira received during the same period in 2025, strengthening Lagos' position among Nigeria's top revenue beneficiaries. Now, the increase pushed traditional oil-producing state down the rankings, highlighting the change in distribution of Federation account allocations. Now, Lagos' strong performance reflects its large economic base. Its substantial internally generated revenue capacity and growing share of national fiscal transfers. Coming to you, Adeni Ifetai, let's move Lagos out of it. Lagos is always the center of excellence. But what are other states doing? And how can other states, come up? Or what do you think they can learn from Lagos? Let's start from there. What are the things that Lagos State is doing? Because obviously Lagos is generating a whole lot. That's why it's getting, one of the largest share in the Federation account. So what can other states do or emulate from Lagos?
I'm sure there are a whole lot of things that they can do, they can generate. But I will also say that no economy is the same, because sometimes what works in your state, there are some say they are civil servant-based states. They are the one that make the chunk of the population. There are some states, both partly commercial and partly, civil servant. And there are some, like Lagos is commercial hub of Africa. So you can see that different. But the only thing I can say that they can leverage when it comes to partnership. I'm sure you remember when Lagos State, was it Kebbi State, partnered to produce rice?
Make rice.
To make rice. So look at where your neighboring state, or Lagos for that matter, have competitive advantage. I've not seen other states say state A and state B, they are coming together to build this investment, to do this, because it is needed in Nigeria or it is needed in our state. And this particular state, they have an advantage when it comes to this. So those are the things I think they can explore. And of course, the way they spend, tax, their internally generated revenue also says much about what the citizen of that state wants to put on the table. And of course, we know in some states, security has been their issue, that commercially they are not been thriving. They are coming up bit by bit. The government is doing, and our military personnel, they are doing their bit. And of course, the IPOB, when it comes to the Southeast, I can imagine a state saying that on Monday you should not do business. Nobody should go to work. Nobody should. Definitely is going to tell on your whatever it is you generated, whether internally generated, whether people that wants to come and do business there. So it has a whole lot. So the question is, how can I create that enabling environment? How can I sell my state to who will be investors? Some governors, with all due respect to them, sometimes they just stay in their state, do their affair. You need to go out. Sometimes nowadays, people just stay in their shop. We want the customer to come. Sometimes you need to go out, tell your neighbor, this is what we are doing, this is where we have, these are the mineral resources that we have in our state. These are the things that I think if you do, the government can give you guarantee that your money, you can get it back, because, instability of policies also affects some states when it comes to, Lagos State have enjoyed that consistency, the master plan, and all of that. So I think those are the things they also need to put in place. And of course, put their state in the limelight. Sometimes when you open newspaper for a whole week, you won't see any event happening in some state in newspaper, on TV or on channels. Your television station talking about economy, market, business. You are running a state, it's like you are running a business. I don't see why they cannot run an advert, they cannot run a promo, showcase your tourism potential, showcase what you can do together, and do some kind of sponsorship, bringing in some people, come and organize some event. I don't want to mention some event that are being organized in some states. If you don't do it in Abuja, you do it in Lagos. Now I think Lagos will host a CAF award, and those are the things you can bid for it. These are the things. So it brings in people, it revives the economy, it revives the tourism, it revives. Some people can see something and say, oh, this is what I saw. I think I can replicate it. Let me come and do this here because there's a need for it. So those are the things I think they should do more, so that they can have more internally generated revenue. And where they think that Lagos State have some, comparative advantage, they can collaborate and bring some investment. There's no problem even if they own something here, and have a piece of Lagos State to themselves.
Thank you very much. Doctor, coming to you, what do you think other states can do, to, increase their allocation? And let's face it also, should states really depend on federal allocations? Can they go beyond that? Do you see us going beyond depending on federal allocation?
Yeah, federal allocation is an equalization kind of fund. Like you say, most states are not equally endowed, although the argument is actually the fact that we all have endowment, and somehow grid may not allow us to actually do some things well. Take, for example, we're talking about Lagos anymore, and these were the risk taken by one man. And when, of course, everybody was safe. And I saw a video yesterday somewhere where he was teaching economics 101, why it was important for him to have done what he did. And of course, got into that point of saying that, look, as a good leader, without a succession, a good succession plan, you have failed. And then they have been able to put down succession plans on the road and say, okay, he planted the grass. Of course, it was the duty of Fashola to mold those grasses. So these are strategic thinking. And we're having Lagos 2063 plan already. That plan is on the ground of where they want Lagos to be. Now, the question is, how many states of Nigeria has a 2030 plan? That's a question. Because it starts from planning. And when you are not able to think of what to do, because Lagos was not a kind of an environment that Dangote wanted to site his refinery.
Yes.
He went to a local line in Ogun State.
Yes.
The agreement negotiation didn't work because some people want settlement.
Yeah.
He tried on, but it didn't work. The situation in the Niger Delta in River State will not allow him to site it there. And Lagos said, we will clean up the space, you come to our space. And they gave it the free trade zone. Now you can imagine the volume of revenue that Lagos is making only from Dangote refinery alone and petrochemical. So that is massive. So ability of people to see beyond today is what is lacking in many of the states. Many of our politicians just don't have an idea of building a system. They just want to come into the state, take as much as they can take, and when their tenure ends, they go and enjoy their money with their family member, whether in Europe or in America. So that mentality had to change. The people must begin to think about leaving a legacy behind. And then sitting down with people. I was so fascinated about what happened in Delta just 2 weeks ago when they had their own investment forum. Yeah, but between beyond the talk shop, and I think there will be also a deliberate attempt by, for example, Delta State government to guarantee investors their safety, to guarantee them an enabling environment for business to do well or thrive. Because it's not enough for somebody to bring money into your environment. The person who is putting money in your environment must be sure that his money is safe and that area boys are not coming to make life miserable for him. These are issues that I feel that states have to address. See how to create an enabling environment. You know, in the days of Fashola, all the under bridges were cleared so that miscreants are taken away. So that dropped crime rate. What did they do? They started what they call the security fund in Lagos State.
Yes.
As at 2002, and companies in Lagos were contributing money to support police to create a safe environment. These are thinkings. So where does it come? By dreaming. It comes by people who sit down, strategically position and plan their future and invest in that future, and then you will see prosperity come.
All right, let's take the last story. Now, the average annual rent for a two-bedroom apartment in some major residential areas of Lagos Island has risen as high as 17.25 million naira in 2026, according to new residential market report. Now, the Lagos Island Residential Market Report 2026, published by real estate company Lagos Realty, tracks rental prices, property sales values, and cost across 4 major submarkets between 2022 and 2026. Now, the report highlights the sharp rise in housing costs across Lagos Island, where increasing demand, limited supply, and rising property values continue to put pressure on renters. Now, the trend adds to growing concern over housing affordability for residents across the state. Coming to you, two-bedroom on Lagos Islands is going as high as 17.25. I know in the mainland, about a two-bedroom goes for 3 to 4 to 5 million if you are lucky. But why is the demand for Lagos Island? Why is the rent going up? And why is that demand for Lagos Island going up?
You know, there's something about location, there's something about infrastructure, there's something about where you get opportunity, in quotes. And so people, because of some company, organization, offices who have been, you know, who are located on the island, so there's a rush for that. Now, of course, for you to pay whatever it is, whether 10 million or 18 million, that means your take-home should be around 50 million or 100 million, because I feel that, you know, there's this saying that a lot of people work, Lagosian, they are working for landlord. Because you are making the money, you are paying the landlord, there's nothing for you to take home. So, but if your take-home cannot take you home, you should be able to look at your financial power to see what you can afford. And these are the things I feel that Lagos State government can also come into it and provide low-cost housing estate. We had it during the times of Jakonde, during times of Otedola and like. So because their so-called low-cost housing estate is not low cost at all. It's very high. So it's for those who have a deep pocket, you know, to subscribe to it. So they can just, even if you travel from from Ajah to Ekwe, we still have some. They are claiming Atlantic. I even thought they are going to put a low-cost housing estate there. But you know that a square meter, you'll be hearing 2 million, just, you know, 3 million, 5 million, and all of that. So I don't think they are thinking about the masses. If they should look into that. I think the last count, they said we're having over 20 million housing deficit. So what is state government plans as to that? You know, they should have a plan, or in whether they said Lagos is divided in 3 divisions or 4 divisions, maybe Division 1, Ikorodu, we are planning to establish 1,000 units of house. They do it in Abuja. I subscribe to an estate that they partner with federal government. Federal government give them land, and they said that you need to build 1,000 units. You know, so those are the things I feel that they can do if they really, so that it will also reduce people trying to cut corner, falsifying record, you know, do some practices when it comes to financial record in their place of work. Because as someone who is trying to pay his house rent and his salary cannot take him home, you know, there's every tendency or temptation to say that he wants to falsify record. And but if you can afford it, why not? But if you cannot, I don't think you should make your house rent to become a prayer point to God. You know, you should apply some wisdom. I had a time, as we talk, landlord won't choke me with house rent. I left a 3-bedroom flat. I went to a room and parlor, face me and face you. We were there for like 10 years, and God built our own house for us. So we don't, and some people, they want to feel belong. They feel that when you are on the island, they want to see you, you want to... No, you don't. People have different needs, and it's your destiny, it's your life. Don't do things based on emotion. My friend is on the island, I need to stay on the island. Somebody who is in my department, he's just moving to the island, I want to move into... You don't know whether he has a side business, you don't know whether he have a rich uncle, you don't know he has a wealthy parent that have left him, or has some fortune or inheritance. They even pay him salary, maybe every month, or like an allowance, and you want to compare yourself with that. So you look at yourself. Of course, the cost of... I checked when I was talking with my wife, when we started the building, the cement was selling for, I think, 1,000 or 1,002. It was 800, 1,000, 1,002. That's now, a
lot of years ago.
Yes, and now it's over 12,000. So the cost of building houses now is much more increased. But it's just beat my imagination. Some landlord that they didn't do renovation, they will say they want to increase house rent because the cost of building material. What are you building? Is it the one that is there? If you are renovating, I understand. But it's still the same building. So those are also things government can also put some kind of bill or look into it. I know Lagos State government is trying when it comes to, but it's that implementation that we are lacking.
All right, thank you very much. Coming to you, Doctor, he mentioned something quite important. So in less than a minute, I'd like you to address it. 20 million deficit, 30 million housing deficit in Lagos. How do we solve that? And isn't it even a wise financial decision to rent an apartment as high as 17.5 million in Lagos? Are you not just dashing the landlord rather that money?
Well, number one, I don't think the people paying, they are complaining.
Okay.
I'm not sure they are complaining. And I'm not sure the houses are empty. You see, because the truth is that you get to a point in a house and you're not able to pay. Like he said, he moved out.
Yes.
Because we have to look. I don't think the landlords are old. So these are the investigations that, as journalists, you have to first of all go to find out. So the people are moving in. I gave an example some time ago here on this table. I was going to move a house, and I was talking to the landlord, and he gave me a figure, and I said, this was too much. Why will you be collecting? Like he said, you didn't do any new construction here. I said, no, this one would not fly. Okay. Before I came back from work, somebody had paid. Nigeria is working, it's getting better. People are earning more money. And that's why they can pay. You see, there are some bank MD here that are earning 60 million naira per month. Some of them are earning 80 million per month. So what is 17 million percentage of 80 million in a month? So you can conveniently offer it. There are some companies that are paying their MDs up to 300 million naira in a month in this country. So people are earning more. So these prices are a function of demand and supply. We have housing deficit, actually. Some people have a policy that they don't want to own home. They just want to live free. And they don't want to leave trouble for their children. So they just live in their simple rent and have one family house somewhere. Because when they die, they bury them in that family house. So people think differently. But one doesn't forget, too, that there are a lot of people today who are doing gigs and they are earning in dollars. We have become the unicorn of the world. A lot of fintechs breaking up here and there with new millionaires and billionaires made every day in this simple country that a lot of us trash underfoot. So that's where it is. But like my own argument for housing in Nigeria is that I feel that what we're doing currently now, we are also not progressively looking into the future or the confusion that is going to come in the years that are coming. I think, like I've always argued here, is the fact that we must start to develop vertically. All our realtors must think about building a 350 bedroom in one space. So that we have a lot of people who have 1 room, 3 rooms, and nobody's going to be saying where you are living, but at least people can have that kind of exposure. But if you continue to build these 60 by 100 square meter, we're going to have a lot of housing challenge, because by the year 2050, Lagos will be almost 100 million people.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor, for your thoughts. Thank you very much, Adeni Ifetayo, for your thoughts. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen, joining us on SOUQ Business Landscape. This is where we will round up for SOUQ Business Landscape today, from livestock to infrastructure, to crude oil, state finances, and the rising cost of housing. These are more than just numbers. They shape jobs, businesses, investment, and of course, the everyday cost of living. I am Olumide Shokoya. Thank you for watching SOUQ Business Landscape. Join us tomorrow for another edition. Stay informed, stay ahead, and keep looking beyond the headlines. Have a productive day.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.